Hi, I'm Caden, here with my brother,
Cal,
and you're listening to Eating W's.
eat the W.
That's a W. Let's eat one. Let's eat one. That's a W.
So, on today's episode of Eating W's, we have our NFL Week 10 recap, and it is filled with upsets to say the least. So, we'll just jump right into it. First up, we have the Thursday night game with the Ravens heading to Miami to take on the Dolphins, and the Dolphins pull out a pretty shocking win, to say the least. I mean, Cal and I both had the Ravens in this one. I think half the world, more than, had the Ravens in this one.
At record-wise and recent play, you'd think the Ravens should win this by 10, 14 points.
Exactly.
Dolphins were 2-7, Ravens 6-2. I mean, you'd think these are two teams going opposite directions, and yeah, the Ravens look just stale and stagnant.
Exactly.
They did run like 90-some plays the week before, on a short rest Thursday game. So I don't know, maybe that had something to do with it. Not enough recuperation. But
I picked the Ravens in this one, but I've been saying it on and off for a while now. I think the Ravens are just so much better than their record. Sorry. Flip that. So much worse than their record.
Yeah.
They don't have a full team. Granted, they're really injury-ridden, which always sucks to see, but even without those injuries, I don't like the Ravens as a team. But the cracks in their armor showed in this game, to say the least.
They're a big play, exciting offensive team.
Definitely.
And the most exciting play this time didn't even count. Big old Robert Hunt for the Miami Dolphins caught a screen pass in stride. Looked like it was for him.
It did kind of look like it was for
started rumbling for the end zone, gets upended, and while the man's upside down, has the wherewithal to stick the ball over the goal line mid-air upside down, and he lands on his head.
It was insane.
It's unfortunate it didn't count because it was a hell of a play.
The funniest part is Myles Gaskin, the running back on the screen, probably would have caught the ball. Like, he straight jumped in front of it.
Yeah, Robert Hunt kind of picked him off.
It was actually really funny. But yeah, I think the big key to this game, why the Dolphins got the win, is they literally just would stack the line of scrimmage every time. They would have like 7 to 8 guys on the line of scrimmage, and then they would drop 3 corners or 2 corners and a safety back in coverage consistently, and then just randomly drop one of the guys from the line of scrimmage and just play pretty much a cover 4. And the Ravens just couldn't figure out what to do. They rely on the run so much that they stack the line, and they rely on big plays so much over the top that when they ran the cover 4, it proved that they just can't really do anything across the middle, and it really showed their kryptonite.
They made Lamar beat him by passing, and he couldn't.
And
he couldn't.
He couldn't. Don't get me wrong, Lamar is okay in strides, but he's just not consistent enough to beat a team by passing the entire game rather than having to do it for a quarter at a time.
They need the run to have their offense be able to function correctly.
Definitely. So, next up, we have a divisional matchup with the Jacksonville Jaguars heading to Indianapolis to take on the Colts. And the Colts ended up picking up a pretty obvious win in this one, I would say, but not in a very dominant fashion. In the beginning, it was pretty dominant in the first half, but then the Jags really got it together in that second half, and I want to say they only won by like 3 or so.
I think it was 3. They made the score look a lot closer than the game really was. At halftime, it was like 17-0,
Something like
Trevor
that, yeah.
Lawrence was like 3 of 14 for like 40 yards. It was like, man, this thing's going to be a giant blowout. And then, I don't know if Urban went down to Chop House and, got some rejuvenation, got some energy, something like that. But they came out in the second half a different team.
Got a quick motivational lap dance.
Yeah, so, hey, whatever works.
So, yeah, the game, like Helen said, the score looked a lot closer than it actually was. But really, the big workhorse in that game was, again, Jonathan Taylor having an amazing game. He had like
180 some yards, career highs.
He had like 85 going into the first quarter or going to the end of the first quarter. Into the second quarter rather.
He had a big like 75-yard touchdown run.
But still, that's just so crazy to see stats like that. He's working for Offensive Player of the Year, man. He's
establishing
right
himself as a star running back.
With the fact that Winston has kind of Wentz has kind of returned to his 2018-2019 form, Jonathan Taylor is the reason that offense is working right now. Mm-hmm. Very similar to how Derrick Henry was to the Titans, in my opinion.
In terms of importance.
Definitely, yeah. So next up, we got the Bucs, who went to Washington to take on the football team, and Callan guessed the upset. He picked Washington as his upset this week, and the football team did pick up the win. Taylor Heineke got his revenge. It was like
unfinished business.
It was like a
finish.
It was like a story arc in a movie or something. It came all the way back around and
came
got it.
Full circle and finished that out. Because you know what? In that playoff game, especially towards the end, Washington looked better than Tampa Bay.
Oh, definitely.
And all they did was continue that. It just took them about 10 months to really finish that.
Yeah, exactly.
But they finished it. They looked dominant that from beginning to end. It never really looked like Tampa belonged in that game.
And what I liked is they were dominant on both sides. Mm-hmm. Heineke was playing his heart out. McLaurin, ironically, kind of had a comparatively quiet game to what he usually has. But Gibson played well. And their defense was balling out. Mm-hmm. At one point in like the first or second quarter, Brady was -5 passing yards with 2 picks.
Yep.
And this isn't like just a bad start. Like this was into like
the
second quarter.
Yeah.
And he was 2 picks and -5 yards.
He actually had a third when they were in the red zone, but it got called an incomplete pass, and then they scored. So it could have actually been worse. He almost had 3 picks before he even had a touchdown.
Yeah. One big hit to that team, though, is Chase Young went down with an injury. There hasn't been many details on what it is exactly.
It sounds like it's the torn ACL. I think he's gone for the year.
That really sucks.
It hasn't been confirmed, but
Chase Young hasn't quite been the dominant pass rusher usually as this year, but he's been instrumental in the run game for them so far. That's a big hit for them to lose.
Yep.
Luckily, they have an overall really good defensive line, though, so they should be able to at least survive even with that hit.
Yeah, and now they lose their first-round pick defensive line. They had a defensive line with all first-round
picks. They did,
but
yeah.
The guy replacing Chase is like a 4th-round pick.
What a nerd. Imagine being a 4th-round NFL draft pick. Jeez.
I think it's Matt Ioannidis.
Oh, is it? Oh, I thought he was a DT.
Oh, maybe he is.
Maybe they're just running him like that weird inside run stuff for DN. But next up, we have another upset with the Panthers going to Arizona and pretty well dominating the Kyler Murray-less, DeAndre Hopkins-less Cardinals. So I guess it's actually not a huge upset. But considering that the Panthers were also missing their starting quarterback, maybe it's a pretty...
Who is their starting quarterback? Because they're paying 3 or 4 of them.
As soon as I said that, I was like,
They're paying Cam twice. They're paying Cam for when they released him 3 years ago, and now they're paying Teddy. They're paying Darnold. I mean, what...
Paying PJ Walker.
Who's still getting paid by the XFL also, I think. But
he's getting it straight out of the Rocks bank.
Right, yeah. It's transferred over.
He's still getting some payments from that. But to be honest, I didn't get to watch much of this game. I just saw that it was pretty well a blowout. Mm-hmm. Cam Newton had like 5 or 6 total plays that he was in and scored 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
One of them being on his first snap as a Panther again.
In fact, his first 2.
Oh, both of his first 2?
Yeah, one was a touchdown run. The second was a pass.
So, like I said, I didn't get to watch much of it. I picked them as my upset, so I hit my upset this week.
Yeah.
So that was nice.
Well,
but
both Colt McCoy played, and Hopkins didn't play, so neither did Kyler Murray. And, last week they did that, and it worked. Colt McCoy was able to beat the 49ers. They weren't quite as lucky going to the well this time around.
I don't know what the Cardinals did different to go wrong or what the Panthers did different to go right, but
they say it was Cam. Cam just brought a whole bunch of energy that was just missing in that locker room and that team, and you could tell the way they rallied around him. I mean, they signed him on, Thursday of last week?
Very recently,
I thought it was going to be a Josh Freeman situation. And I was like, oh, man, this is going to be bad. It's going to be ugly. You remember the Josh Freeman situation?
Don't. It's a little far back. I just remember him playing with Tampa for that little bit.
No, the Vikings signed him for a Monday night game against the Giants the week before and literally had him in camp for
Oh.
4 days and started him.
Okay.
And it was a disaster because how can you be a starting quarterback with 4 days preparation on a new team? So I thought it was going to be something like that.
I don't overly remember it, but yeah.
It was a bad deal. I think that was during the end of the Childress era, or maybe the Leslie Frazier era, and it was
either of those.
They were bad endings.
It's probably the Frazier era. That one was a little worse.
Yeah. So I was thinking that's what it was going to be. It was that kind of situation again. But when they asked Cam after game how much of the playbook he knew, he said 2 touchdowns worth. And that's what they got out of him.
Such a savage
2 touchdowns
worth.
So hey, they knew how much he knew.
Yep.
And used it.
That's funny. Well, speaking of the Josh Freeman situation, the Vikings. Next up, we got the Vikings, who went into Los Angeles and beat the Chargers 27-20. And hell yes, you gotta love to see it. I wasn't coming in with the most confidence from this game, or for this game, but I still felt we had a good matchup, and we played well. When we gave them the ball back with like 2 minutes left at the end of the game, down by 7, I was like, run it back. Here we go again. Same shit, different day.
How the season's gone for you.
But then we played well. We got the ball back. We were able to get a first down and run it out, if I'm not mistaken. So I'll take it. I liked the coaching so much more. I feel like the coaching overall was so much better.
Zimmer has finally coached his best game of the year.
Probably, in my opinion.
He still had to have that one.
I was going to say, one
head
thing,
slap moment.
One leading to that for our head slap of the week for this week's recap is the Vikings calling a timeout with about 1:30 left before halftime to get the ball back and then promptly run
out the clock.
Ball. We literally stopped him on defense, called the timeout, and then ran the ball on the first play. And right then I was like, okay, whatever. Maybe we were just trying to catch him sleeping. And then we do an incomplete pass. And I was like, that's okay. We still got third down. And then I think ran the ball again on third down. I'm just kind of trying to remember the situation. But overall, it was just stupid.
It was very confusing.
The fact that we started with a run
right.
just automatically ended any
to call the
chance of
timeouts on
happening.
defense usually means that you're going to be aggressive on offense.
Exactly.
And they were totally conservative. I don't know. So I don't get the thought process
and,
there.
Maybe we catch them slipping with the run and get like a 10, 15-yard run and get out of bounds. But no, it was promptly stuffed behind the line of scrimmage, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
So right then, it was just... But outside of that and a few other very small errors, kind of nitpicky stuff, I thought Zimmer coached much better than he has been. I thought Kubiak called a lot better, called the plays better than he has been. He finally fed one of the biggest assets on our offense in Justin Jefferson, and Justin Jefferson rewarded with 9 catches and 143 yards. So, you love to see it. I hope we can carry that momentum into next week.
I think what happened here is that Zimmer finally got a hold of Dion. He'd been trying to get a hold of Dion for a couple weeks, but he'd been in the hospital. And if you saw Zimmer's post-game or press conference yesterday on Monday, Dion called him like 4 times in the middle of the press conference. I'm just stunned that Dion and Mike Zimmer are friends.
Yeah,
like
Dion
he was like
Dion
close.
and Zimmer.
Like he was concerned
homies.
about him being in the
They're
hospital.
tight-knit.
When most of wasn't aware, but I wasn't even aware that Dion was in the hospital. He had a foot surgery and then got MRSA. I know everybody sparingly assumes COVID, but no. There are still other illnesses in the world, and one got poor prime time.
Yep. And the Chargers played well. I'm not going to say the Chargers by any means played a bad game, but
I thought Vikings, the Chargers would beat you guys pretty
Vikings
pretty soundly.
Played better.
They did.
It's crazy what you can do when you have talent on your roster and decent coaching.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't it crazy to see?
Seems to usually be a good formula. But.
Yeah. So, moving on. Next, we got the Packers heading to Seattle to take on the Seahawks, in which they pretty promptly handled the Seahawks, shut them out at home, so you can never complain about that.
Gave Russell Wilson his first ever shutout in the NFL. 150-plus games without getting shut out. And the first one happened in Green Bay.
It's actually pretty impressive on both ends.
Really? Right? Yeah.
He's had 150 games and never gotten shut out.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, I messed that up. I said in Seattle. It was in
Green Bay. I didn't even catch that. But yeah, it didn't matter. We were going to win either way.
Pretty much, yeah.
But yeah, if you had told me at the beginning of the year that we were going to shut out Seattle, I'd tell you we must have a pretty good defense. Now, obviously, Russell was coming off of his injury.
Say, I don't know.
They even say he came back early, like he ramped up rehab to get back sooner.
Came back early. They were guessing like 6 to 8 weeks, and he only missed 3. 4.
4. Yeah. Is it 3 or 4? But
I think it might have only been 3.
It might have been 3 though. Yeah. But so he's still good. I mean, he wouldn't have played if he wasn't ready.
No.
So.
No, those NFL guys know their body. They know when they're...
Especially someone like Russ, who really takes care of himself really well. But, yeah, defense played great. Rodgers also obviously came back. He looked like a player who hadn't practiced in 10 days, but was still superstar talented.
Yep.
He didn't have a great game. I wouldn't even say he had a good game. He actually kind of had a bad game by Aaron Rodgers standards. But that usually is, any other quarterback had that game, it'd be a good game.
Well, if you throw a pick to Jamal Adams, that's an automatic dock on
right,
your rating.
But he balanced it out by immediately taking Rodgers' belt after Adams does the belt celebration. Green Bay goes on 2 touchdown drives. Seahawks go on 2 interception killing drives.
Yeah.
So, hey, when are these players going to learn? You mock the man's belt, it's bad juju for you guys. It's his belt. It's Rodgers' belt.
True.
Don't take it. Don't take it.
Know.
It's right there. I got a replica right
it's
here.
It's gonna be
signed it and everything.
I think that
by
era
the man himself.
I don't know. I think that era is coming to an end. We'll have to see. But
hey, I don't care. I'm talking about this season. I'm focused on this season right now. Winning one right now.
You really excited for another NFC Championship game loss? You really looking forward to that? That's the only record Rodgers is looking for.
Hey, as long as we're not Philly and go 4 straight.
Oh, that's rough, man. That's rough. But yeah, props to the Packers defense, even going up against a kind of deflated offense, getting the shutout, and their offense, the Packers offense, did just enough. So.
One side note is Aaron Jones got a sprained MCL. A.J. Dillon's about to break out. That guy reminds me of Derrick Henry.
I've even been talking
in
about
terms
how much I
of
like
playing style now. I said you're talking about how he was. There was someone else like Derrick Henry in terms of importance. This guy is like him in terms of playing style. Just a big, bruising, angry running back. It was a screenplay, but that. I don't know, maybe.
I didn't get to watch.
Yeah, because the Vikings and Packers were playing at the same time. He took a screenplay down the sidelines, and 3 or 4 guys hit him, and it's like he had a force field around him. And they hit him, and they just bounced off of him. He was throwing stiff arms. I thought he was going to go all the way, but, the thing about big running backs is they don't have that breakaway speed. That's okay, though.
Yeah.
I like seeing that when the guys go to hit him and just bounce off him. Looks like they just hit a rock.
No, I really like A.J. Dillon. I'm terrified.
That's
for
old
next
school
week.
football there when you're doing that.
So, finally, for our main games, we got the Rams, who went to San Francisco and got absolutely dominated by the San Francisco 49ers. I mean, Cal and I both had the Rams. Again, I think half the world had the Rams.
Well, most of the world has already crowned the Rams Super Bowl champions because, with Stafford and OBJ and Von Miller and who else they got?
Pretty much
no one behind. Yeah, is that it? Because that's all I hear about that the Rams have is just those players. And look, you play with just those players. Oh, they got blown out by a team that just got beat by Colt McCoy.
Yeah, that's rough.
I don't know.
Cal and I have been talking about this a lot because outside of their top 3 on offense and their top 3 on defense, there is not much substance to that team.
You gotta
they
have
used
depth.
They used to have a lot of other mid-level guys. They had a much better secondary last year, and their O-line is still decent this year, but I'd say it was better last year. Mm-hmm. But yeah, you just can't have such a high drop-off and expect to do well. I'm not saying the Niners are by any means a good team. They're like a night and day difference when they have Kittle and don't have Kittle, and that was proven by
that was
Kittle
a big
playing.
part. And for whatever reason,
but
Shanahan likes to beat the Rams. Did you see that?
I noticed
He's
that.
won, was it 5 in a
straight.
row against the Rams, including 4-0 or 2-0 at home. And they are, since the beginning of last year, what was the stat I saw? Since the beginning of last year, the Niners are 0-8 against teams at home. Like at Levi Stadium. They're 2-0 against the Rams at home. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. This whole season doesn't make any sense. I thought last year didn't make any sense. Sure. Somehow this year makes even less sense. You got teams that terrible records upsetting teams with top records multiple weeks. It's been the most teams with losing records to beat teams in first place in their division. And so far in the season, and we're just barely halfway over.
We picked a bad year to start doing a pick'em game,
right? It's been wild.
Confusing to say.
So I just went on everything this week. I was like, okay, what do I think is going to happen? I'm going to go with the opposite.
Pick the opposite. Yeah. That's pretty much what we're going to have to start doing. But moving on to our quick kicks now, we're going to start off with the Saints, who went Tennessee to take on the Titans. The Saints look like a team who's missing their starting quarterback and their starting running back, and the Titans
and their starting wide receiver. Mike Thomas has been out all year, obviously.
And the Titans pretty much just continue to be pretty dominant, to be completely honest. The Saints kind of kept it close the whole game, but the Titans just played better. They just kept the win.
Yeah, it's crazy. I thought with Derrick Henry they'd fall off some, and I think that they will miss him. There are some games that will happen
as the stretch goes
where
on.
It'll be like, if they had Derrick Henry, they probably would have won that one. They've done so far pretty good with McNichols out of the backfield and AD running for touchdowns still. You might only get 20 yards, but I don't know if there's any other running back that I would rather have on the 1 yard line. And you say, I need you to get this ball in the end zone.
I want to see AP lead the league in touchdowns for running backs, just because why not?
With less than 100 total yards rushing.
Less than 100 total yards rushing.
A man had 20 touchdowns, 47 yards rushing. How do you do that?
That would actually be amazing. I would love to see that so much. But
I think he's already surpassed 47 yards rushing. He had like
not.
27 that first game. So
wouldn't be overly surprised. But next up for the quick kicks, we got the Bills, who went to New York to take on the Jets. And there was just nothing to say about this game other than domination.
The legend himself, the man, the Magic Mike effing White Lightning. I had to think about it because I hadn't said it in a while. He kind of disappeared, and I figured out why. Magic is an illusion. And lightning rarely strikes the same place twice.
So he just can't do it twice.
Yeah.
He evened himself out. He went from 4 touchdowns to 4 picks. He just had to...
Yeah. Now they're calling for Josh Johnson. I think in that game they were then calling for Joe Flacco. I think Flacco went in there and went 4 for 4 with a touchdown.
Yes.
So, of course, Jets fans are like, why aren't we playing that guy now?
Who else but Elijah Moore? That kid is going to be
stepping up in the last few games.
Luckily, we don't face the Jets much because I'm going to be terrified of Elijah Moore.
There's talent on that team. They can get it figured out.
Definitely.
Whether I don't know which quarterback is going to be. Seems like they're going to go with a different one every week.
It's pretty much their
bold strategy. We'll see if it works out for them.
See if it pays off. Next up, we have another just pure domination with the Falcons going to Dallas and taking on the Cowboys. I don't know what happened between the Broncos game and the Falcons game, but someone lit a fire under the Cowboys' ass, to say the least, because it was night and day, like watching 2 different teams in 2 different leagues. The Cowboys just absolutely destroyed the Falcons from start to finish.
Well, it was the Gus Bradley revenge game. Gus Bradley is the Cowboys' defensive coordinator. Dan Quinn? Oh, yeah. Whoop. Wrong Seattle defensive. Yep. Not Gus Bradley. Gus Bradley's up in Seattle. Dan Quinn is the Dallas Cowboys defensive coordinator and was the former head coach of the Atlanta Falcons, also during their tumultuous Super Bowl run.
28-3, baby.
Which at one point the game was 28-3, Dallas, and the Falcons Twitter put out a tweet that just said, "We know, we know."
That's hilarious.
Because they were just like, we're just going to get out in front of this.
I didn't.
We know the score is 28-3.
What a play by the Falcons Twitter. That's hilarious. I didn't know that happened.
But yeah, so Dan Quinn went in and was like, "Yep, I'm gonna totally expose this team."
I know what's wrong with this team. Yeah.
And he definitely showed that they still had the same weaknesses that he was aware of. So
absolute domination.
It's crazy that they can go. The week before, literally Dallas looked incompetent, getting basically shut out 30-0 by the Denver Broncos, who are a team. It's basically sellers right now, building towards the future, and then go and score 40 against the Falcons, a team with a veteran quarterback, probably still trying to win. I think I'm not exactly sure. Seems like the Falcons change every week, and if they're building for the future or winning now, but
at this point it might be tank time for a new quarterback.
It might be now, yeah.
Next up, we have the Chiefs going to Vegas to take on the Raiders, and this was actually kind of a head slap candidate. We were talking before this with D-Jax having his first catch as a Raider and his first fumble as a Raider on the same play, which was a huge momentum swing. It pretty much, the Raiders might win that game if he secures that ball.
It's a lot closer game. It keeps momentum, evened out. Doesn't give it so much to the Chiefs. Watching it live, I thought he pitched it. Because he gets turned around and then the ball goes flying back towards the Kansas City defender. And I'm like, oh my God, he pitched it thinking it was a Raider or something. I don't know. Team players changing teams. Maybe he just had a little brain fart.
Oh, God.
I was like, wow, he pitched that to the wrong player. But then they showed the replay, and you could see the Chiefs player tackle him, get the punch out right behind it. But, yeah, watching it live, I was freaking out for a second because I thought that was just hilarious.
I wish you would have. That would have been
I mean, that would have been played over and over on Football Follies. Yeah. But, hey, the Chiefs are back, right? Chiefs are back. They're not a bad team anymore.
I don't know. We'll have to see. I'd give each of these teams one more week, and we'll see what really happened there.
Yes.
Next up, we got...
that. I think this is more an anomaly than...
Definitely.
The Chiefs are back.
Next up, we have the Lions, who went to Pittsburgh, and just... Neither of those teams wanted to win. I mean...
Maybe this should have been the head slap moment. Just
the whole game.
This effing game in general. It was... I've never seen a true game where it seemed like neither team did want to win.
No.
Especially in overtime. Oh, how many times they would... I think there were 4 turnovers in overtime. 2 by each team. I'm not sure. I didn't check the stats on that.
I know there was at least 2 by the Steelers.
Yeah, that was just off of recollection, but wow.
It was a cluster, to say the least. Fun little fact about it, though. At one point, the Lions had 3 of the top 10 fantasy scoring running backs. They had 2 guys who literally both had a just random long touchdown each. And then DeAndre Swift, who's their starter, had over 100 yards and ironically no touchdowns. So it was just such a Lions game.
And we figured out Dan Campbell is now calling plays.
Oh, is he?
Yep.
I did not know that.
He took that over this week, so I'm not their offensive coordinator. It must have been the one calling plays.
Well, guess what? Did you notice that when they ran a lot more, it worked for him?
Yeah, MCDC was like, we're Motor City. Motors. Yeah. We're going to run the ball.
Oh, wait, that's why we have 3 good running backs and then we're building our offensive line.
Yeah.
And 0 receivers.
Yes.
That's why we did that.
Well, they went and got Josh Reynolds.
They did go get Josh Reynolds. We'll have to see how that plays out. But next up, we have the Browns, who went to New England to take on the Pats. And again, just an absolute domination. The Pats smoked the Browns, to say the least. The Browns looked awful. Baker re-injured that shoulder, and Keenum had to come in. Mac Jones didn't break anybody's ankle, so that was nice of him.
He refrained from that this week. Now, I'll tell you what. Now, you got all these people talking about how the Chiefs are back. Let me tell you something that's real here. I think the Patriots are back. And I think that they might have gotten the best college quarterback in the draft this year.
I can't get with it.
I know you can't.
It's too good of a situation compared to the other
I think it's a situation. I think that, yes, maybe in the draft at the time he's not the most talented compared to those other guys. But then you put him in this situation with Belichick, and it's like a ratings boost.
Yeah.
All his Madden stats shot up by 10 by just having Belichick as his coach. They got through the learning curve, and now you can tell he's got confidence. He's, pretty sure about the playbook. And
I definitely agree that at the moment, Mac Jones is the best college quarterback, stat-wise, performance-wise. But I think as this year goes on, and especially as years ahead go on, that's going to very much change.
Right, in terms of talent, right? Yep.
Yeah.
I do think that. Who are the other quarterbacks that were drafted this year?
Fields,
Trey Lance,
Lawrence, Zach Wilson.
Yeah, Kyle Wilson.
Kyle Wilson.
Tracy Lawrence.
Yeah.
Turns out at the Chop House, Urban Meyer thought that was Trevor Lawrence, and it's this little game that they play. It's like grab
it was
ass.
the hair. It threw him off.
Yeah,
it all makes
long-haired blondes just really fucking up Urban Meyer's year.
It's all added up. It all makes sense. But finally,
I was just gonna say that I think the Patriots are gonna possibly win the East. Still, they're only 2 games behind Buffalo now.
Oh, they are.
Buffalo's terrified of New England because they've just dominated for years.
I can't see him winning the East, but I can definitely see
him getting in the playoffs and a wild card, especially in the AFC. And look out for them. Bill Belichick and the Patriots in the playoffs again. I'm talking about deja vu.
It's a sneaky team. So, finally, for our quick kicks, we got the Eagles, who went to Denver and pretty well smoked the Broncos again. Like I said, a lot of blowouts this week. And I didn't get to watch much of this game, but the little bit I saw, the Eagles just played better.
Yeah.
The Broncos kept it kind of close until Darius Slay got that big 84-yard fumble recovery return for a touchdown.
The D-Jax fumble was just a huge momentum switch.
Yep.
And it just confuses the whole season even more. Is how does Denver now look like a trash team after they just went and shut out the Cowboys 30-0? I know the Cowboys got 2 garbage time touchdowns. I'm saying they shut them out because everybody quit playing.
I'd agree. Yeah.
Everybody quit playing. They went into prevent. It just doesn't make any sense. How do you go 30-0, beat a team, and then lose 30-13 at home? You go to Dallas and beat them, and then you go back to Mile High and then look like shit. I don't know. This season's making my head hurt. The only thing that can fix it is 2 things: more cowbell and an Aaron Rodgers Super Bowl title.
Wouldn't you say that every year?
Yeah.
Why does that fix the season?
I don't know. It just makes every season better.
Okay, well, thank you all so much for watching. That was our NFL Week 10 recap. And until next time, do not forget
to eat the W.